everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm the City Witch. In today's video I want to talk to you about a brand new deck that I recently purchased to join my collection. So if you've been watching any of my previous videos, you will know that I have a large collection of Oracle but only one main tarot deck that I like to work with. Now that tarot deck, as much as I love it, is very traditional but also a bit battered and worn around the edges now. So I'm trying to protect it, and the best way to do that is to buy myself a new modern deck that I can use a little bit more to take the pressure off my original one. I've been looking for a while now and I've found a couple that I've purchased, but none of them have been suitable for working with the public. And then I came across this one and completely fell in love. So I bought this one 4 months ago on Amazon for £25. It's by Barbara Moore and it's called Wizard's Tarot, and it looks like this. So this is the box that it comes in. It is made out of really good cardstock, so it will protect your tarot quite well. It comes with a magnetic modern clip, and as you can see is full colour and very nicely presented, which I love. It comes with a full colour guidebook that looks like this, and as you can see it's a pretty chunky book. Now, if you're a beginner and you're considering learning tarot for the first time, it's more than likely that you're going to go out of your way to buy a tarot deck that probably isn't going to come with a lot of information. So traditionally, in my experience, most decks come in a small cardboard box, and inside you'll get your deck and you'll get a really basic little notebook that'll have just a few little bits of information upon reading cards, and most likely it'll be really generic and it'll cover maybe a couple of spreads that you can consider doing, but it won't give you enough information, and it certainly won't teach you how to read the cards. So for that reason, you're probably going to have to go out of your way to buy either a guidebook or find a mentor that will teach you how to read the cards correctly. So that means spending more money. So this author thought about that and really thought about what you're going to need as a novice in order to effectively read the cards. And then she included all of that information in this guidebook, which is why it's so thick. So you don't have to go out of your way to buy another book. You can learn all the basics of tarot from what she gives you in this book, and I thoroughly appreciated that. So some of the stuff that she talks about in this is she mentions the Rider-Waite Tarot. So that's probably the one that you'll get recommended to buy because it's the easiest one to learn to do tarot with. Now, she has based this deck off of the Rider-Waite Tarot, and she's laid it out exactly the same, just with this wizardy spin. So you can still learn to read tarot with this deck effectively, just like you would with the Rider-Waite, without needing to buy the Rider-Waite. And I love that. So the cards themselves look like this. They're made out of pretty thin cardstock. I mean, I can bend that, as you can see, so easily these could become ripped, damaged, or bent and battered. So you're going to have to be very careful with these guys and really store them in the box and make sure they're in a good place so they don't get damaged. The back looks like this. Now I prefer it when they choose a generic pattern so you can't tell whether the card is reversed or the right way up. But she's chosen to go with this dragon pattern. I mean, it's really pretty. I appreciate the image, but personally I like it to be more plain. The cards are kind of laid out like this. So you get a full colour image on the card, and then you get what the card is at the bottom. So this one is obviously the Queen of Pentacles. Now on the card, as I say, is a full colour image of what the card is, and it's packed full of symbolism to help you easily interpret what the card is trying to tell you. So all of the cards are like that, making it very easy to read for a novice. Now inside the book, she gives you information about herself as the author and a little bit on the artist. And then in the content, she's got 7 chapters. So chapter 1 is of Tarot and Wizards. So this is how this deck came into be and how she decided to mix in the wizard theme with it. Chapter 2, reading the cards. Chapter 3, the major arcana. Chapter 4, the minor arcana. Chapter 5, the court cards. Chapter 6, the spreads. And chapter 7, the magical path. And then she also has a conclusion. So the introduction is pretty much just all about how she decided to do this tarot, what gave her the inspiration to do it, and just a little bit about her and the artist. The tarot and wizards bit, as I say, is about this deck in particular, its journey and how it came into existence, and all the different inspirations surrounding that, including the Rider-Waite. Then the reading the cards is going to be the most important section of this that you guys are going to want to take note of. So firstly, she talks to you a lot about tarot, the history of it, traditional meanings behind it, and she talks to you about the suits, the elements, and all the influences that surround tarot. But then she gives you cheat sheets. Now, this is the bit that I loved, because in the cheat sheets, she talks to you about information to remind you what you're looking for when you're looking at the card. And it's a way for you to easily practice using the cards without going into too much detail and overcomplicating things for yourself. So cheat sheet 1 is reading tips. So this is 10 tips on how to read the cards effectively. So I won't read them all out to you, but I will give you a couple of examples. So one of the examples is present tense is used throughout the book and the cards for ease of writing, but modify the meaning to past, present, future as appropriate for your spread. Another tip is, and this is probably an important one, gender and age descriptors you may read in the card pages or see in images are symbolic. Gender is about the nature of the energy and age is about relative experience. So I think that's super important, because when I was taught, if you saw a male image on the cards, chances are it was talking about a man in your life, or definitely a father masculine figure. Nowadays, what we're saying is that's not true. Gender is more about the energy that you get from what you're seeing in the card. So depending on what the person is doing in the card, it's going to be an indication as to the energy that that person is giving off. And then age is more about experience. So that's logical to me, because if you think about a child, you're probably going to think innocence, free from any complications or responsibilities, somebody that is a novice, has yet to learn and adapt to life, and certainly somebody who's inexperienced. But if you saw an image of somebody in the 80s or 90s, a very old looking person, then you're instantly going to think experience, life. You're going to think about all of the things that person has gone through and the stories that they could tell you. So straight away, two completely different energies there based on what might be in the cards. So I thought that was a really important tip. So I'd say she gives you 10 of those. And then cheat sheet 2 is basic steps for tarot reading. And I'm going to read out the first one because I think it's important. So the very first one, she says, decide your question. And the reason I want to read that one out is because too many people will just pick up the cards, shuffle, and lay out a load of cards, and they do it because they want a reading, but they don't actually have a reason for the reading. And the idea behind tarot is you need an actual reason. You need to give the cards a purpose, something that they need to look into and interpret for you in order for the reading to be as accurate as possible. So it's important that when you read, you either have a subject. So it's okay to say, oh, I want to look at my finances or my job situation, but not actually have a question surrounding that. So maybe it's because you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable at work, or you're just thinking, oh, maybe it's time to get a new job, or if you're out of work, when am I getting a job? But you don't actually want to word it as when am I getting a job, you just want the cards to advise you. That's fine. But generally speaking, the best readings will come from having an actual question. So she lists that as number 1 and even tells you why that's number 1. Then after that, she gives you a lot of examples of ways that you're going to get the best out of your cards. So making sure you shuffle every single time. If it's for a client or someone else, they must be the ones to shuffle the cards. Drawing the cards and placing them in face-up position rather than facing them down and then flipping them later. She talks about noting repeating numbers, symbols, suits and ranks as well. She talks about clarifying the answer as consciously as possible. And she talks about noting the absence of a suit. Now that was one of the most interesting points she talks about in this book, is that you should always take a bird's eye perspective on what you're seeing when it comes to the cards. So when you're laying them out, don't jump right in and start reading them, but take a moment to kind of look at what you're seeing. Are you seeing common colours, common numbers, suits? Are you seeing, a lot of kings and queens, and why? Are they in the same suit? So the king and queen for cups, for example, are coming up. So they match, they're a marital couple. So what could that possibly mean as an extra factor? So she asks you to take stock of all that. But one of the things she says is what's missing. So consider what's missing in a reading. So if you're seeing, say, wands and pentacles and swords come up but no cups whatsoever, that could mean a serious lack of emotion when it comes to the question being asked. So, maybe being cut off, distant, cold, or, just don't care about this situation at all. So that lack of emotion has an impact on the reading. So that was really interesting because I'd not done that before, where you look at a reading and see what's missing. I always look and see what's there. So that was something I learned from this writer. Then cheat sheet 3 is about suits, numbers and keywords. So here she lists wands, cups, swords and coins and tells you their overall meaning. So with wands, she said it represents will, passion, drive, projects and careers. Cups is emotions, relationships, intimacy and creativity. Swords is intellect, reason and communication. Coins is the physical world, the body, senses and resources. And then she does the same for all the numbers. So aces are new beginnings, opportunities, projects. Twos are relationships, choices and decisions. Threes is creativity, growth and teamwork. Fours is stability, structure and stagnation. 5 is conflict, loss, chaos. 6s are communication or problem solving. 7s, reflection and assessment. 8s, movement, speed or power. 9s, completion or solitude. 10s, an ending. So 10s are kind of like your conclusion. So the foundations you lay at the aces for your new beginning. 10s is kind of like the manifestation of that and what's happened as a result of all your hard efforts. So straight away, as you can see certain numbers coming up, you can see how things progress. So if you laid down a foundation and then you had 5s come up, you'd know straight away that the foundations you've laid have led to, you know, whatever's going on now being a negative situation, and perhaps your foundation to begin with wasn't as strong as you thought. So you can really start to layer the reading and figure out what it means. So I really appreciated that about this book. The other thing she does as well is each of the pages are laid out like that. So you get the full colour image, and then you get the name of the card, and then you get keywords, and then you get reversed meaning. Then you'll get the major meaning behind the card, and then advice as well. So if you wanted to take this a step further and learn from the cards, then you've got some advice with each of the cards. Then the suits, they're laid out all together. So all the aces together, all the 2s, all the 5s, all the 10s, they're all together. So it's not laid out as like all of the wands, all of the swords, all of the pentacles. She chose not to lay it like that, and actually I found that easier because obviously you can see as a reflection what one card might mean to the next, but in the same collection. So all the aces being together means you can see what the ace of wands means as opposed to the ace of swords, and see whether they're similar. She also reminds you at the beginning of each one what the element is on the minor arcana. So I'm looking at the moment at the Ace of Pentacles. So she tells you straight away, Pentacles represent earth, which is body, diligence, resources, the physical, creation, manifestation and receptivity. And then she goes on to tell you what the aces represent and then the meaning of this card specifically. So again, she's reminding you what she said in the cheat sheets, but giving you a bit more detail in the description of the card. So again, I really liked that, and you can see how it all connects. And then with having a full colour image as well, you get a big closer look at what's on the card. So here straight away you can see that she's obviously somebody that works with her hands, hard-working, creative, somebody that spends a lot of time and focus on projects. And then meaning, so without looking at the meaning then, I've just given you what I said I thought it meant. So keywords is work, skill, craftsmanship, artisan, diligence, dedication, focus, drive, determination, steady progress, work, attention to detail. So some of the things I said straight away you can see coming up there. So brilliant. So if it had been reversed, what might you get from that? So maybe lack of concentration, boredom, not really concentrating on what you're doing at all, shoddy work, or something that's unfinished, so perhaps a abandoned project of some description. So that's what you'd be able to see there. So reversed, she says shoddy workmanship, workaholic, boring job, tiredness, tediousness. So straight away, some of the things I said again showed up in this card. So you're just learning how to reverse the meanings basically, and how to put that to what you're being shown in the card. So the image is very important, guys, and she makes it really, really easy, I think, in these cards to see what they mean. So now I'm going to show you the cards, and obviously it is a full tarot, so I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, guys. So I apologise if you don't have much chance to see them. So all of the cards are full colour. They have a lot of symbology in them for general card meaning, but also for the wizards as well. I would say with this deck, definitely take note of what you're seeing with the people on it, because the expressions on their faces gives a clear indication as to what's going on. And I've actually misinterpreted these cards a couple of times because of that, because I wasn't really looking at the faces. And actually I realised she's put a lot of emotion into the people on these cards. So looking at the faces is a tip I would definitely give you. Don't concentrate too much on the wizard theme if it confuses you. Look at really what's going on in the picture. I would definitely say this is one of my favourite decks in my collection now, guys. The energy off them is really nice. I enjoy looking at all the images, and I think the artist really thought about what she wanted to display on the cards and how she wanted it to look. I mean, that one's one of my favourite, guys. I love the death card. It's beautiful. And again, she went with a modern theme, so some of the people in these card images are wearing modern clothing. You know, there's computers in some of the images, and you know, not just books. And obviously some of them are located in modern locations, so the city, driving cars, you know, in beautiful gardens. And then some of them are in rustic areas like a beach or a castle. So she has mixed in a lot of modern themes, and I suppose you could say that time is involved because you're seeing historic images mixed in with modern day images as well. And then there's some mythological creatures mixed in with the deck, so you do see unicorns, dragons, fairies, symbols of Norse mythology with Valkyrie wings on helmets, things like that, wizard cloaks, witches' cauldrons. So there's a lot of symbology in this deck, guys, that you really just need to look for. But I quite enjoy this deck. I thought it was really lovely, and it's definitely one of the most colourful decks I have in my collection, and probably one of the easiest to interpret, which is what I was looking for. One that I can interpret really easily but be more intuitive with, rather than just go on the traditional meaning of the tarot. So this is the first deck that I bought that actually mixed the two, Oracle and Tarot, and the way they would have been read. Only a few more to go now, guys. Last two. And there you go. So that is all of the cards. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this video, guys, and that this deck has maybe inspired you, especially if you are a beginner. As I say, I thoroughly recommend this deck if you are a novice, because of all the different ways that she's included information and the way she's layered the cards, and obviously given you lots and lots of ways to interpret them, and she's made it very easy for you to memorize what each and every card means, which is really helpful if you're a beginner. So 10 out of 10 from me. Absolutely love this deck. Can't wait to start using it with the public. So if you'd like me to give you a reading, then just drop me a line, guys, and I will do that. So if you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up and click the bell button so YouTube will tell you when my next video comes out. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, thank you very much, guys. I do appreciate it. If you'd like to support me and follow me on any of my social media, all of the links are in the description, but you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course I am on Patreon. And for those of you who choose to support me on Patreon, thank you very much, guys. I do appreciate it. So thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, be good to each other, and I'll see you soon. Blessed be.